Okay, welcome back to the regular council meeting. The date is Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. The time is 7 p.m. With that, I'll call the meeting to order and reporting out of close. Council is pleased to announce that the Curly Stewart Memorial Trust Fund Award recipient has been chosen. The award will be announced and presented to the student at the student school ceremony and/or Canada Day celebrations. So very pleased with that decision. We look forward to that. Okay, with that, motion to adopt the agenda. Moved by Councillor McLaughlin, seconded by Councillor Abbott. Any amendments, changes?
Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you very much. It's not a regular meeting unless we put something on camera or on table. Jamie, could you pass those on, please? This is somewhat present for the deputy corporate officer and for everybody taking notes. If we could add the correspondence on table from resident and soon to be bride Charity Stelmacher. And we could add two resolutions. New item, we'll call it 11.1. And the motion is that council approve blocking off 12 parking spots at the KG parking lot on the afternoon of June the 7th. And that staff work with the bride to fulfill her request, which is to provide temporary parking for guests at her wedding. And the second resolution, we'll call it 11.2. The motion is that council approve an extension date to June the 2nd for submission in support of the Citizen of the Year and Citizen of Distinction Awards.
I can talk about this when it comes up.
Okay.
It's just to do with the date of the.
Well, since we can talk about it now, this is the village update. It is 12 pages long. First page, government. That would be the advertising for the Citizen of the Year, along with these three sentences that nobody's going to look at in 12 pages, and the deadline is next Tuesday.
If I may, yes.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So
Seconded by Councillor Abbott, and we'll discuss.
okay. I was saying, I'm approving the agenda because I have a few things as well.
Okay, well, why don't we vote on this and then we can come back? Yeah, okay. So would you like to give us background on that?
Sure. It's definitely not a hard no by any means, but the challenge is the trophy timeline. So the engraving of the trophies takes an exorbitant amount of time. And so backdating that from the July 1st, that's unfortunately why we ended up with such a short timeline, because we didn't get it in fast enough. So we can extend it, that's no problem. It's really just getting those trophies engraved on time.
I have had many things engraved and I've never had any issue. It's kind of like a 72 to 96 hour turnaround time. So I can call one of the engravers, the trophy source at the frequent, if that's helpful to.
Sure, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, any other comments? No, all in favor of the additions?
So we just adding it to the agenda.
Yeah, we're just gonna.
Okay.
Yeah, and Councillor Abbott.
Just two things, 10.2.1, the CAC, and 10.2.2 IC. I didn't submit a report because those meetings, well, actually, I've sent the draft minutes to staff that it missed the 12 o'clock deadline on Thursday. So I was going to give a short verbal update on two items on those two meetings. And then
Verbals on both those.
verbals on both, and the minutes can follow.
Second for that. All in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Okay, any other amendments? No, okay, all in favor of amending the agenda as proposed? Opposed, motion carried. Okay, we will move to public participation. The gallery, online, Crystal?
No hands.
No, okay, we'll move to delegations. We have Corey Vanderhurst.
We do.
You're great. Corey?
Hello, Your Honor.
Your honor is. Okay, Corey Vanderhurst from MMP will discuss and present the audit findings. Corey, you're up.
Thank
You're
you.
on mute. Okay.
Oh, you're able to hear me okay? I'm just getting
Yeah.
the screen
Sure.
going
Here
here.
comes. Yeah.
Okay, apologies for that. Bear with me on the technical side. I'm hoping you can see the first slide there. Thank you to the Mayor and Council for inviting me here to attend your council meeting tonight. As in the prior years, I'll have a short presentation and then I'd be happy to answer any questions. Before I start, a big thank you to the staff of the village going through the audit process with us this year. We really appreciate all their assistance for preparing the financial statements and going through the audit process. I'll talk first about some financial statement highlights, and then about audit and audit results. So starting on, oh, sorry, before we look at the numbers, a reminder that these are presented on a consolidated basis. All the funds you see there, general, water, sewer, capital, and reserves, all brought together as one number. Throughout the year, you might get reports from staff that talk about reserves or capital or other funds in isolation. But when we do the annual financial statements, it brings it all together as one. Starting in the numbers, starting at the statement of operations or the income statement, you can see there total revenues for the year of $6.2 million, up from the prior year's 5.5, a little bit below budget. Budget had some significant grant funding anticipated. Some of that which is deferred to 2026, so not recognized in 2025. Total expenses have also increased from $4.8 million to $5.6 million. And you get an accounting surplus at the end of the year of $676,000, very similar to the prior year's $678,000. And again, to note, the budgeted surplus is presented this way to match the the financial statement presentation. And so the anticipation there was some significant capital grant funding in the budget. From the income statement approach to the cash flows, which looks a little bit more like your budget, regular cash flow operations were $4.4 million in the village this year, $1.4 million of capital spending, very consistent with the prior year, paying down some debt on schedule of $138,000, $1.3 million of new debt incurred for capital projects, and $4 million moved out of the main general bank accounts into investments to ensure you're getting a good rate of return. So with that 4 million moved into investments, the end of the year, the main bank accounts had a $35,000 cash inflow, very minor amount in the grand scheme of your budget. So there you can see the cash and the investments have increased from 6.2 million to 10.3. Cash, investments, and receivables are what we call total financial assets, and those have increased to $11.2 million. I mentioned on the previous slide some new debt incurred. So your debt that you're carrying has increased from 1.4 million to 2.5. And in debt, accounts payable, deferred revenue, and other accruals are what we call the total liabilities of $7 million at the end of the year. If you subtract that 7 million from the 11.2 of financial assets, you get what we call the net financial asset position or the liquid position of the village. It's $4.1 million at the end of 2025, consistent with 2024. And then the tangible capital assets that you're managing, infrastructure, buildings, equipment, and things like that, have increased from 24 million to 25 million at the end of the year. And you have a accumulated surplus on an accounting basis of $29.2 million. Now that accumulated surplus is made up of a few things. Here you can see on the next slide. Most of it is this $22.4 million of what we call invested in tangible capital assets. So that's the value of all those physical assets minus the debt. And that's not a cash balance or money that would be available to be used. There is $4 million set aside in reserves. So there was a net $500,000 increase there into the reserves in 2025. And the unrestricted funds have a $2.7 million surplus balance. So that's what makes up your total surplus of $29.2 million. Switching gears to the audit and the audit approach, we are happy to be providing an unqualified or an unmodified opinion. That's auditor speak for a clean audit opinion. We're satisfied that the financial statements that you have in your package tonight are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with the appropriate public sector accounting standards. The audit is complete. The last step is council approval of the financial statements, and then I'll be able to hand over my audit report. When we perform our audit, we look at your controls. How are they designed? Make sure that we understand how they're designed to ensure you get accurate financial reporting. We do not specifically test the effectiveness of the controls. It's just a part of our audit approach. It's more efficient for us to look at year-end balances and to focus there. So we sample transactions to form our audit opinion. We don't look at every transaction. And to drive that audit testing, we use this number of materiality in the fourth bullet there. And that number is calculated as a percentage of your revenues. So $270,000 was the number for 2025. What that means is we're looking at every transaction that's larger than that. So large grants, capital project spending, and then for transactions that are below that threshold, we're sampling. That is also my threshold for being able to give you a clean audit opinion. If there is a number that I disagree with in the financial statements, that's $300,000. I couldn't give you a clean audit opinion. But if there's one in there at 200, I could give you a clean audit opinion. Again, a big thank you to staff. Every year that we've worked with the village is getting better, and here we are in May, being able to provide an audit report, which is a really fantastic result. I will confirm our independence. There was one other project. We were assisting the financial officer with some budget presentation, not budget numbers, but just putting together a budget package. That's the only other project that we did during the year, and that was with a completely separate member of MMP. So no crossover on the audit team, and we are able to provide you an independent audit opinion. Thank you again for taking the time to listen to the presentation. That's a very quick run through of the financial statements and the audit results, but I would be happy to answer any questions from the council.
All right, thank you very much for that, Corey. Any questions from council?
Yeah, I'll, this one. So, Corey, on page 12, uncorrected opening differences. So it's page 12 of our package. It's not
Yep.
going to help you much. Uncorrected opening differences was $61,000. And then there's a statement that after discussion with staff, it was decided not to adjust. So two questions. Had our budgets been done, had the audit been done earlier in the year and there was time available, would that have made a difference in the decision to correct or uncorrect these things? Because now we're up against the sort of timeline for approval of our 5-year plan. Or would you, if we had time available, say we were having this discussion back in January, would it make sense to go make those corrections?
Thank you, Councillor. So, I mean, the questions you've got there on page 12, and I've got it, your unadjusted differences are what you're talking about there. There's a couple different things happening there. And so, I mean, the short answer is no, I don't think it would have had an impact. One of those items is an item in testing of $141. But as an auditor, because I'm sampling, I extrapolate it out to that total possible difference of 18,000. That's not a real number that would need to be adjusted. The $141 invoice was something that had an amount recorded incorrectly. The second one is timing. There's a $25,956 amount noted for timing of interest revenue being allocated to the deferred. Now that one could have been adjusted. That could also be easily adjusted early in 2026. And the 61,000 that you mentioned is actually items from 2024 that rolled over into 2025 that were just timing. And so your ending balances are correct for that 61,000. They were timing differences between 24 and 25, if that makes sense.
Okay. There was also, I can't find what page it's on, but senior assembly, there was a mention of you needed to get additional information around funding. I'm assuming this means you looked at some of the grant agreements. Is that correct? And can you expand on that? Which grants did you? What any opinions?
Yeah, grants is a spot that we always look very closely at. The very, depending on the different funder, different levels of different wording in the agreements and things, because you can get tripped up on whether you should be recording it all when received or recording it to match the expenses. You have the large AZAP grant, and a chunk of that is deferred to be recognized in 2026 when the project continues. So that is an area that we always spend a bit of extra time to make sure those grants are in the correct year. Other than the interest that had been earned on that grant that I mentioned that was not actually recorded to the deferred revenue, we are comfortable with the other grants and other grant agreements that we reviewed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Ms. Blackwell, the motion to receive,
I don't think,
not necessary, or?
no, unless, Mr. Vanderhorst wants anything specific at this point with regard to his audit report, but, based on the fact that you adopted the agenda, it's automatically received.
Okay. Corey, anything further you need from us?
No, that's everything. Just I apologize, I don't have your agenda in front of me, but at some point, is there a motion to approve the financial statements that have been prepared by staff?
I don't see it on our schedule or our agenda.
I think that's what you were looking for.
Yeah. Mr. Blackwell, any?
I don't know if Mr. Cherkoff.
Mr. Cherkoff, you advise us, would you like that resolution this evening? Or have you got something else to present to us?
No, I would, Corey has, gone through everything in, great amount of detail. I would suggest that a motion be brought to the table to approve the statements, and then we can file those with the, LGIS tomorrow.
Okay, do we have a motion to, accept the statements? Okay, moved by Councilor McLaughlin, second by Councilor Broughton, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Okay, Corey, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good night.
Mr. Cherkoff, thank you. Much earlier than past, so that's great.
We're on track.
Okay, all right, next item is 7.1, the approval of the April 21st, 2026 minutes. Do we have a motion to approve? So moved by Councilor Broughton, second. Second by Councilor Abbott. Any amendments, changes?
It's the name spelling, which has already been fixed, I think.
Okay, so all in favor?
So I've got one.
Okay. Councilor Abbott.
Just gonna find your page numbers in this. I'm not finding it now.
Okay, is it just a typo or something?
No, it's a mistake. There's a mistake. And, is it? I was looking at it a minute ago. I know why. It's in the next minutes. Apologies.
Okay, all in favor?
You're not gonna find it there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, motion to approve the May 5th, 2026 minutes. Okay, moved by Councilor McLaughlin, seconded by Councilor Cunliffe. Let your hand go up there. Any amendments, changes? Councilor McLaughlin?
Thank you very much, Mayor Barry. My apologies to the deputy corporate officer who sent this in sooner, but I've gone away. Page 45, timestamp 2 hours, 24 minutes. Motion was the council direct staff to add increased parking space at 340 to 350 Mountain Drive. It's recorded as a 2-3 vote. I'm pretty sure Mayor Barry and I did not vote in favor of them. So it would be carried.
I believe that's right. And there's another portion in there where I think it was 4 voted for. It was, I may not have raised my hand, but I was not for it. Yeah. Okay.
I've sent it to you, so,
Oh,
Yeah.
and you can check your timestamp.
okay. Any other?
Yeah, so there's another one.
Councilor Abbott?
2 minutes and 15 in the meeting. Didn't go listen to the recording. This is when we were voting to, we had the 2 different motions on the table about the kayak racks, and we were voting to defer. It's recorded that it was opposed by Mayor Berry and Councillor Broughton. It wasn't actually, it was opposed by Mayor Berry and Councillor McLaughlin.
Which number is that? Sorry,
So
page number?
it's on page 46 or page 9 of the minutes, 46 of the package. Just up from the bottom of the page, just above the amended motion to be deferred, read after 8.3.2. Says opposed, Mayor Berry and Broughton.
Yeah,
It was opposed by Mayor Berry and McLaughlin.
okay.
And Michael initially didn't say anything, and then you asked him, how did you vote? Initially you abstained, and then you said, did you good with deferment? So that was the process, how the sequence went.
Okay. You got that? Okay, any other amendments? No, all in favor?
Well, I'm sorry, what we'll have to do is we'll have to verify
Yeah,
and then we'll bring it
bring them back.
Bring it back.
All right, so we'll table that the next one.
Just looking at, on page 40, there was a residence item, which I think, I'd like to make sure it's on business arising. But I believe that it's about the scooters, the electric scooters, the residents, concerned about scooter safety. And I believe that that's actually on the list of items that the CAO has provided for us this evening that staff is going to be looking at. But I would like to just deal with that in business arising.
All right, got that down.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll table the May 5th minutes. Okay, do we have a motion for the May 12th, 2026 minutes? Moved by Councillor McLaughlin, seconded by Councillor Cunliffe. Any amendments, changes?
No.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Oh, motion carried. Okay, business arising, resident scooter. Councillor Cunliffe?
Yes, on the April 7th meeting minutes, 10.3.2, the park opening, we had voted to have the official opening on July 1st. And I would like to revisit that motion with more sensitivity taken towards the official opening of the Aaron Moore Memorial Playground. I would like to propose revisiting this motion and dedicating a separate day for that event that is geared towards residents only. We can cut the ribbon on the park and it's open, it's Canada Day, everybody welcome, but a more intimate dedication, maybe a weekday when we speak with the Moore families, see what would work for them. And then make that kind of just more focused on our immediate community, because Canada Day, we do get everyone from abroad, and I'm not sure that the significance will be, the impact won't be as significant as it needs to be.
You suggesting after Canada Day or before or?
I think that ideally, depending on where we're at with the actual opening, if we did it before, that would be ideal. I mean,
Yeah.
if we could agree to a date, like if we have a time frame when it's open and we can work with the Moore family to find a date that works for them, putting together an event can happen very quickly.
Okay, how about if we all sort of give our blessing to, I think we're in agreement, we're all in agreement on that, we just don't know a date. When the park's gonna be open, so it's gonna be.
Follow up
tough for-
offline with staff.
And we can come back and.
And if we're having a hard time with plaques, I hope the signs and.
Yeah, Council Rhodes, and your hand up.
I think the park opening, though, is July, it should be July 1st, right? So I think we're just talking about adjusting the
As kind
Yeah,
of,
that's correct.
playground.
Yeah.
And I do support the concept of having it ahead of that. Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Cunliffe, you wanna work on that? I mean.
yeah, I'll follow
The
up
park
with staff.
official, not official, but the actual opening, soft opening, we don't wanna get on the wrong side of that.
No,
Yeah,
Do we need to put a motion now? No?
okay, Mr. Blackwell saying we'll leave it with Councillor Cunliffe.
thank
Keep
you.
working on that, great. Okay, and Councillor Broughton, you brought up what the scooters, was there something you or Mr. Blackwell wanted to add to that?
Well, it came up from a resident's letter about, and I was just responding to, just noting the Vancouver province article of last Friday of e-scooter injuries involving kids on the rise. And there was a concern about maybe having staff look at whether or not we have requirement that children under 16 are not on the electric units. I wasn't clear on exact, but I'd just like to refer that to staff.
Yeah,
As a safety item.
there may be a law in place that, under 16
My
aren't supposed
understanding
to,
is
but I'm
there is a
not
law
sure
in
how
place,
it's, whether it's.
whether it applies to everyone, whether we have to look at that in
Mr.
some
Blackwell,
way.
do you want to look into that and come back and report?
Will I, or do I want to?
Well,
You
council,
will.
would you like,
I think I mentioned this when this came up,
Yeah.
that the LMLGLA, I believe it was the city of New West, that has put forward a motion to the UBCM to come up with legislation that will go through all municipalities, because the rules differ from municipality to municipality. So I'm not sure at this point what staff really can do when it is like kind of a provincial.
Mhm.
So,
okay, so it's on the radar is what we're hearing.
I think come UBCM
Yeah.
we'll have.
Yeah.
Councillor Abbott,
No,
I saw a news
then we'll come back to
article,
Councillor Brown.
a news article the other night. I think there seems to be municipalities opting in and making their own bylaws to do this. I don't know how prevalent it is. I can't, I think it was yesterday. I can't remember which one I heard. So maybe research and just see what everyone else is doing and we latch on to quotations.
okay, my goal here was to put it on the radar through the chair, sorry.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell, can we add that to your task list?
I noticed it's on the list of items that was provided to us.
It is, I can tell you though, just to let you know, that the ability for this municipality to start policing utilization of scooters is gonna be very tricky.
Mhm.
For a whole bunch of reasons. We can't do spot checks and demand that they show us their identification to prove that they're old enough, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
I was unaware that this was such a huge issue. I have not seen many scooters in the community. I've seen some, but I don't see some pandemic of scooters running throughout the community and crashing everywhere. So, my suggestion is, given the volume of projects, as you can see in that list, that staff are working on, unless this is a serious priority for council, you might be better served to wait to see what comes to the UBCM as Councilor Dunn suggesting.
Okay, Councillor Broughton?
I guess what I was thinking is that it's the type of item that could be mentioned in the village update with maybe a reference to the article in the province, something of that nature. Anyways, in terms of just awareness for the community, I think that might be really wise.
Okay, point taken.
Yeah.
All right, any further?
That's
Good.
fine.
Okay, with that, we'll.
Sorry, I had two business horizons.
Oh, okay, Councillor Abbott.
Page 33, there was a resolution here that staff discussed the execution of updating the Plateau report at the next IC meeting. Unfortunately, staff wasn't available to attend the IC meeting, so we're going to hope to do that at the next one. Can I just put that on the unfinished business log? Maybe as a reminder to everyone, we need Eric to attend or another member of staff, I guess. Looking across the table.
Okay. Crystal, can you add that, please? Thank you.
And
Okay,
then on
Councillor Abbott.
page 35. So this is about the motion on the grant funding for wildfire, fire smart things in general. I went back and looked at what we've done in the past. So it speaks here about a community wildfire resilience plan. And in 2021, Diamond Head Consulting, who do this all the time, who might do that for us, did a Lions Bay Community Wildfire Protection Plan. I have a feeling they're the same or very similar things. Where resilience could be worked in. In that particular report, it's got 25 recommendations. Our previous one, from several years before, this had 35, and we only did a handful, I think it was 7. I mean, this one, I hope we can do better, but the first recommendation is that every 5 years we need to revisit and update the plan, and they suggest a budget of around $5,000 per update. That was 5 years ago, and so it's actually due. So I think we have the first step done here, and we should go back and do the update with Diamond Head, spend the $5,000, and then decide what else we need to do rather than go start a new plan.
Just my reading of that fire smart activities, would that include, tidying up the roadways and some of the underbrush? I know Councillor Cunliffe and I, attended a fire smart tour up in Whistler, and they had shown us all the areas of the underbrush that they'd tidy up, especially around roadways where somebody, a cigarette butt or something else might go off, so
Yeah.
I imagine that some of that funding could go towards those types of activities.
So back to my suggestion, recommendation number 10 on the report, for the princely sum of $10,000 to $20,000, is organise spring chipping days to help people clean up. So all of these things are in these thoughts, and maybe not all of them, some are in this report. I think we need to go back to the report that we're supposed to update every 5 years. It's now due, tick off anything we've done and work through this report. We've already spent, I think it was $30,000 on it back in the day. 30 grand.
My recollection of some of those reports is that there's a lot of items that have been identified that we could probably follow up on, that I don't necessarily, like, especially Councillor Cunliffe and I saw this underbrush being cleared, and I can give, well, you drive around the village, you can see many examples on the roadways or you know, on the rail tracks, people topping off trees and just dropping them, and some of those areas could be, I imagine, cleared. Yeah. Last one.
So, my expectation is that, we will have a new fire chief, in that role very shortly. This should be a body of work that is central to, their start. So, it might be best with regard to this issue, just to hold tight for a couple of weeks or so. Until we have that secured, and then that individual will then be able to run with this.
Okay, Councillor Allen.
My suggestion, recommendation number 17, ensure road edges are clear of vegetation. Let's go back and read the report. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, good. All right, any other items?
Could we put that on the unfinished business log, maybe? Review the report. Thanks. No, I don't have any others.
Okay. Action log 9.1.1, page 53, any items councillors would like to pull out? Page 53.
Is it 50?
52.
No, not fine. You guys are different page numbers, isn't it?
52.
52, I have none more.
We gotta use this HTML thing.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
You touch the little paper clip and it takes you right to what we're talking about.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Okay,
If I
I've got
even
a
called it
couple.
the right thing.
any items?
I have a couple.
Okay, Councillor Abbott.
Actually, some of it was more question for the Director of Operations if he isn't present. I was looking for an update on 370, 371, and then 373. 371 was the fleet funding and the GMA funding.
And did you want to discuss those?
I did, but Director of Operations is not here, so I guess we'll have to. When sensors, highway sensors was another one. And
Okay, no other items?
No.
Okay, move to 9.1.1, and the council strategic priorities, and Mr. Blackwell, you want to walk us through any highlights on that?
Thank you, or many highlights.
Keep it under 4 minutes, please.
I think it's possible. so many highlights. This is just for your information. So what this does is, in the first column, identify your priority areas, and then, in the central column, we'll call it, these are some of the activities that have been undertaken, throughout the period you've been discussing your strategic plan. So some of these sort of immediately predate your adoption, but they're all within that catchment. So, what I would say is, what I hope council would see is we're making some serious progress with regard to these areas. It's, in my view, particularly given the size of the staff team, it's quite impressive. It's been able to be achieved so far.
Okay, I just see a few in progress. Should we ask, why don't we open it up for questions? I see the one with the bus stop, the 100,000. Is that, what's the status of that? I see the bus stop. Gravel is still there. Are we planning to put down concrete?
Yep, good question. So that was, that project was divided into two phases, two funding envelopes. It had a maximum threshold of $100,000. That was entirely utilized for the work that was undertaken thus far. The application went in for phase two. Prior to that application going in, staff had been in discussions with the ministry. So we are waiting to hear back, sort of day to day at this point, with regard to confirmation that we've received that second funding envelope, at which point we'll then be in a position to complete phase two, which is to install paving and install a bus shelter in that location.
Okay, Councillor Abbott?
So the original RFP went out looking for the entire project, including the bus stop shelter itself. So was it just cost overruns? You couldn't get anyone to do it all for that, or?
No, it's just simply divided into two phases. So the contractor will move into same contractor will move into phase two as soon as we receive that funding envelope. So they were retained for the complete package.
Just thought the RFP read that it was one phase and everything was coming in for $100,000.
Yeah, no.
Huh?
Okay, sign rehabilitation. Any update on that?
I've not been overly involved in that, as council will recall. That is the generous donation of the Manley family to replace the sign at the entrance. There have been ongoing discussions with all people concerned with regard to specifics around location. As you can see, there's some challenges with regard to those railway tie retaining planter elements that sort of have required the sign location to be adjusted somewhat. Where it currently sits, so it's not that it's not going ahead, I just don't know what the timing is. So as far as I understand, the location has now been finalized relative to all of the site constraints. And now it's waiting for something that I'd have to report back on.
Okay. Councillor Roach.
Sure. Yeah, my understanding is that when they removed all the ivy, they found that the wood was quite rotten, and some of it's gonna have to be replaced, so that's pushed to the fall.
Councillor Mello.
Yeah, I recall when Public Works Officer was here, the Public Works is gonna take that on to save the village a significant amount of money, and it's gonna be subject to their availability. So, and good job on all the rest of it.
Mhm.
There's lots complete here, so.
Yeah, so I think we're talking about two slightly different things. So the replacement of those failing structures is absolutely scheduled for later. But I don't think that's getting in the way of the actual sign install.
I thought that was the case.
I won't swear on that, but that's,
Maybe wrong,
that's.
yeah.
That sounded, it
I-
sounded that way when we heard last
I'll
time.
report
Yeah.
that.
Unless they came up with an alternate plan since then.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, one of the other items, beach park update. Anything you wanna provide us?
The devil's in the details, you know, all the big bold strokes were done fairly early on in the project. Lots of little details, that are being resolved as we go. The good news is the soffits that, were sourced from Quebec which are the under the roof part of the building are gonna be arriving a week
Did you
early.
say Tibet or Quebec?
They
Quebec.
could have come from Tibet this
Yeah,
time.
probably faster. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
Those monks.
So the expectation is they're coming next week, I believe. And then they'll be installed shortly upon thereafter upon receipt of those. So
Which will be
about a
about
week ahead of schedule.
Scaffolding.
The grass on the upper area is looking great. The grass on the main slope seems to be stuck at 1.5 inches. The geese are having a field day with removing the new growth. But all in all, I think, I'm sort of tongue in cheek a little bit there, but I do have serious concerns that the grass is not growing in the lower section. At all, so it's 1.5 inches and it's been there for 2 weeks. So I don't know what we're gonna do here with regard to that grass. The upper area, it's 4 inches, it's great. So we're gotta figure out what the heck's going on with that. But other than that, it's all the little bits are slowly coming together. I think personally, I've designed many parks in my time, in all sizes of cities, and I think this is one of the most beautiful gems that I can think of. I would hope that when it's done, the community feels a great sense of pride in it.
Great. Any update on the OCP?
Yes, insofar as the preliminary scoping discussions have happened. There's an inaugural staff kickoff meeting with a number of staff to help clarify any outstanding questions or issues. You know what that is?
The one with council on
Yeah, for staff.
oh, for staff?
Remember? Soonish, like next week, I believe. And then on the 16th of June, there will be a meeting invite for council and you'll have the opportunity to meet with the consulting team and walk them through questions and answers associated with that initial work.
Through the mayor, deputy corporate
Yes.
officer, can you put that on our calendars?
If I may, yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. It is gonna be on a regular meeting day.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so there's some other things, go ahead, Councillor Abbott.
So you can finish.
No, okay, bylaw, I see that's part of the OCP / bylaw update. Let's see, let me get there. Where?
So let's point out on page 53.
Zoning bylaw, 56, page 56 down the bottom.
Yeah, so those are the various amendments to the zoning bylaw to deal with sort of problematic areas in the zoning bylaw. So those are tick boxes in the intent. There's one that is in progress, which is that minimum lot size matter and amenity contribution provision matter.
Okay, Councillor Abbott, you have your hand up.
Yeah, come back up to the top. I won't repeat the ones that you already covered. I have a few of those. To make your report even look more glowing, item 1 under environmental installation of the heat pump in the hall. It's been done for years. I think we should get it off the list. I think it was done when we had the discussion. Actually, I know it was. So make that complete. Item 2,
53?
page 53, item 1. Yeah.
Oh, right there. Oh, yeah, doesn't have a status thing.
And then the next one that's also isn't statused, application for Green Municipal Grant from Green Municipal Fund. So that's the previous one that was done by the committee, with the team. We have been told we can get working on that. We cannot make a big announcement. Please don't go put it in the village update. We need to get working on it because it starts now. So that one you could put as well. If the action is the application, it's complete. We've moved on to the next stage.
Thank you.
That's not to mention, and item 4 under financial priorities, I think that's the same. Looks like the same item. So if it's the financial side, it's pretty close to done, on its way, checks and closed. Grant metering. Yeah, some of these are a little confusing, whether the actual work is meant to be complete or the grant's meant to be complete. I mean, that one, I guess, is the grant. Next, CUB projects, similar. So the CUB project grant is awarded. No,
Finance,
this is the MFA finance, sorry. That's done.
that's been
Okay.
achieved.
Yeah, all right, so let me check myself here. Each property mentioned. Initiation of universal watering metering project. So here, I think we should be talking about the actual project. So you have completed the initiation, but you haven't completed the project. But it sounds good. The ones under items on, I'm now on page 56. All those finance items 1 through 4, I think those are now all done. I see those in the audience here, so those should probably be complete. I think they all look like they're done.
Ms. Blackwell?
Sorry, you're absolutely correct. I don't know how I glitched and missed those, but you're right, they're all complete.
Okay, so score is better than you thought when we first started giving you those staff praise. It's even better.
All right.
Oh, one other thing, number 8 under new items, electrification of fleet project. That's not new. You already mentioned higher up. It's already there under Enviro number 3, so that's not new.
Sorry, which one?
Number 8 under new items,
Oh,
electrification of
Extension
fleet
of-
project is number 3 under the
Yeah.
environmental section. It's not new. Number 14, the national asset inventory is new, and that's all we should be working on now. Okay. All good.
Okay, Councillor Bowden?
Yeah, well, number 3 under new items is the kick scooter policy. That's what I was referring to earlier on, but I understand the discussion.
All right, no other items, we'll move on, 10.1.1, and the motion is that the fees bylaw number 497, 2016. Sorry. Very good.
So,
Okay, moved, seconded. Councilor McLaughlin, second, this is the first, second, and third reading, any discussion? All in favor?
So, you know, I have a discussion.
Okay, Councilor Abbott?
So there's 2 things happening here. There's a decision to reduce the amount of the temporary use permit. I'm not in favor of that for a few reasons, but before, through the chair, does the chair want to recuse himself if we're talking about temporary use permit fees? Because you have in the past, but I don't know if you still rent out your cottage.
No, I wouldn't recuse myself.
You won't, you're not going to recuse yourself?
No, no need to.
You don't rent out your cottage?
None of your business, first of all, but it'd be like me asking you to recuse yourself when we're trimming trees or something.
No.
I know you don't like trimming trees, and I wouldn't pull that back.
So you decide for yourself. We're specifically talking
And
about
I'm
a fee that
making
you
it
pay.
really clear
But none of
that
that.
I wouldn't recuse myself, and it wouldn't be any of your business whether whether our residents have something going on or not. So, and I don't know why you bring it up other than to be a bit annoying.
Just gave you the opportunity. This fee directly impacts you.
order of the
It
day,
doesn't.
question asked and answered. Dave?
It does not impact me. It has nothing
I'll
to do with
move
me.
on. I'll move on.
And
Just get the opportunity.
It's very disruptive that you would waste council's time.
Just gave you the opportunity. I'm moving on. Okay, my position on temporary use permit fees is twofold. I know there was a resident, or maybe there was 2 that came up and asked us to look at reducing these fees. I think short-term rentals make a significant amount of money. A little bit of Google searching myself, so you make about $300 a night in Lions Bay. If that's what you're doing. I don't think these fees are excessive at all. I think as a past councils and this council, people are talking about wanting to make rental accommodation available for firefighters, other long-term resident rentals. And I'm not in trying to make it more appealing to rent them out on short-term rentals. I don't think that's what we want to do as a council. So I'm not sure why we've decided to reduce these fees, and I'm not in favor of it.
And that's you.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell.
So the not so short answer is that municipalities have a legal obligation to ensure that their fees are set at an amount that reasonably reflects the costs associated with the process associated with the permit. They cannot be used for money-making purposes or for profit motive or any other sort of disincentive, etc. So all fees have to roughly approximate the cost associated with the process. If council does not wish to have temporary short-term rentals, then the tool to restrict that or limit that is not exorbitant fees that are unjustified relative to the amount of time it takes to process these things. You need to amend the bylaws that either permit them or otherwise restrict them. But you cannot legally use excessive fees as a tool to regulate the volume of application. In other words, it costs the municipality $100 to process a temporary use permit. You can't charge $2,000.
Okay, so we don't charge $2,000. We decided the initial fee was $1,000 and the renewal $750. At the time, staff recommended, council agreed that was a reasonable number. And now we want to cut it in half and make it 500. And we want to cut the reapplication to 250. Are we saying that, 500 is unreasonable? I mean, we never thought so before. It's been like in place for years.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you through you. Based on the amount of time it would take, I would have a hard time saying it costs us even $500 to actually so what I'm looking for, process a temporary use permit for this purpose. With regard to a renewal, part 14 says that these things are good for 3 years with a 3-year renewal. Well, with a renewal, nothing really changes. There's like next to no work associated with that. Maybe an hour of staff time to go through the process of renewal because all the same information applies. So even at the rates that are shown here, I would say that we're sort of pushing the upper limits of what we could justify.
Okay, and no further comments, all in favor?
If I may,
Mhm.
just add something really quickly in regard to the waiving of fees of the Brown Hall. I just want to let council know that there will be no other changes in terms of the process. So groups would still be required to have insurance and they would still need to provide a damage deposit. So just want to make that really clear. It's just a change, not in any of the other processes that go along with booking.
Okay, thank you for that. All in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Councillor Abbott opposed. Please note that. Okay, we'll move to climate action. Councillor Abbott, you want to give a verbal report?
Yeah, so the Climate Action Committee met on April 30th. The draft minutes are with staff. But they've got the after the agenda deadline. There's no recommendation in those minutes. So there's nothing that council need to deal with before the next Climate Action Committee, which we're busy drafting an agenda for. That's drafted agendas with staff. So there's nothing in there that we need to jump on at the moment. We'll be fine till the next meeting.
Okay.
On the Infrastructure Committee meeting, a little different. Last meeting was May 14th. We do need to deal with the well report. So that's an outstanding recommendation. And hopefully, as I said earlier, if the Director of Operations is available, we can deal with that on that meeting. And if he's not, I request that another member of staff or some representations are somehow that we can get moving on with that.
Okay, we'll move to 10.3.1, and that is the Bear Smart report. Will that be yourself, Councillor Abbott, or is there anyone else in your committee?
If I may, just so,
I'm going to plan for
Oh,
really short. Just there, sorry, if I may, the minutes are there for information. I'm not sure if Councillor Abbott.
Yeah, I do want to, I too want to say something.
okay, we did the announcement coming out of close with Councillor Abbott. Go ahead.
I would, so the minutes are there, everyone can read them, the announcement came out of close. I would just like to take a moment, to thank, three of the committee members. Hugo van Hoogstraten, Nicole Stroll and Jen Hetherington, who have advised that they will, not be going on at the committee next year. They've all got other focuses for their volunteership, so I just want to thank them. Hugo for 7 years, Nicole for 4 years, and Jen I think was around 7 years, might have been more. And also thank Hugo's company that he works for, KPMG, for their generous donation of $500, which I'm not sure if we received yet, but Joe's not there, but we hadn't last week. It's on the way. I think they're good for the money. Alright, so that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, we'll move to item 10.3.1, Bear Smart.
I mean, just as a reminder,
Mhm.
so this is just a standing item. And, Councillor Abbott, who's appointed to that working group, may or may not have anything to report out, so that's why it's here on every agenda.
If I had anything, I would have added it to the agenda, so.
Okay,
You didn't.
well, I know we've talked about the safety and the traps and various things that are being tampered with.
So you have
any-
point of order. It was not added to the agenda. I just pointed out if we went to the agenda, we should have added it. No one added it to the agenda.
It's
Now you
on
see
the
me-
agenda from what I see.
CAO just pointed out it's not on
Says
the
councillor
agenda.
report, Bear Smart.
The CAO just pointed out that it's not on the agenda.
Yeah, no, so if I may. So this is a standing item on the agenda.
Okay,
The reason it's a standing item is because we were directed to increase the degree of transparency. So because it's on there, that whoever council member is appointed to that role, which right now is
that'd be Councillor Abbott.
Councillor Abbott, has the opportunity to provide an overview on any involvement of that working group.
Can we ask for an update from Councillor Abbott?
Well, that's what it's here for. And so some of the time, and most of the time, there will be, the simple answer will be, there's nothing to report this month or this week or whatever. But there will be occasions where that is, but for reasons of transparency, it's on here.
Okay,
Instead.
Councillor Abbott, can you give us an update on the conservation officers and the bear traps that were tampered with? Any updates on that and anything further that they might offer up?
We discussed this in the last meeting.
I'm just asking you the question.
We discussed this in the last meeting. We've had no communication with them since. I have nothing more to add. We've had no meetings since and no communication with the Conservation Officer Service. So I have nothing more to add at this moment, but as soon as they do come back to us, we'll certainly bring a report.
Okay, I'd like to, since we're on this topic, I'd like to put forward a motion that council is firmly and unequivocally opposed to any destruction, obstruction, or tampering with bear traps or other wildlife management measures, and calls for the strict enforcement and appropriate penalties for such actions. Do we have a second for that? Okay, second by Councillor Bowden. Any discussion?
I'm confused, wouldn't this fall under conservation or the
I think that's,
RCMP?
this is
This is sort of a,
conservation's area, isn't it?
yeah, I think this is just kind of a motion to show our support of the conservation officers. Because they often get overlooked, and I think this would just be positive, so.
I appreciate the sentiment. I just think it's an overreach of what municipal government actually, we could be putting a motion out to the RCMP in, support of them performing speed traps on the highway to reduce like car accidents in the corridor, and I just don't see where this would end. I think in principle, we're all here to support conservation in all levels of government and enforcement. I support them. I just think that we're overreaching, and I think it would set a bad precedent.
Okay, any other comments?
I will just comment that we did discuss it in the meeting you were with the conservation officers. They gave us their opinion. I didn't ask us to take any further action. And that's the way it was left, so I think we should just.
Okay, I think it's just a positive reinforcement with our conservation officers, because I know often, well, we've had 2 traps that have been tampered with, and I think it's important that the Bear Smart representatives and those at the council table just show their endorsement for the conservation officer. So, any other comments, Councillor?
Could you do the motion again?
Yeah, sure. The motion is council is firmly and unequivocally opposed to any destruction, obstruction, or tampering with bear traps or other wildlife management measures, and calls for the strict enforcement and appropriate penalties for such actions.
Since it's press release as much as anything.
Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Opposed. Okay, mark that down. Councillor Abbott is opposed. The other councillors are in favor. Okay, we'll move on to the next item.
Can I just say one last thing on that?
Well, the question's been called, so you had your chance to comment during the motion. So can we move on to the next item, Councillor
I
Abbott?
would just like to make one last qualification on it.
Well, then we're gonna have to go around the table, and that's really not part of the meeting agenda. So, you sure you wanna do that?
Whatever. Okay, I wanted to explain the circumstances.
Okay.
Because I
so we'll
think it's a
move
very
on.
distorted opinion. In the
All right,
way
we'll move on to the none at the Finance Committee. Shirley Stewart Memorial Trust Fund Committee, Councillor Abbott, any comments? We did announce that we will be awarding that later in the summer or in early summer. So anything further you'd like to add?
I've just presented it.
We're on 310.3.2.
Isn't it 10 minutes ago?
Sorry.
I wonder if I could beg council's indulgence, because I'm afraid we may lose this individual.
Right.
Our seasonal bylaw enforcement, Gabrielle.
Hi,
Good.
I just wanted to jump in and introduce myself, but yeah, I have to skedaddle out at 8 o'clock, so I
Okay.
just thought I'd come in and say hi.
Thank you for
Right.
coming back.
Thank
Nice.
Thank you very much for coming by.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, if you guys need anything, let me know. Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Welcome.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Ross.
Thanks, Council, appreciate it.
Okay, we'll move to 10.3.2, watercraft storage, Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you very much. I'll be brief. Firstly, Director of Operations going up is on our team, as we move forward on the planning and staff liaison. What I've done is I've written to staff, and this will be self-explanatory. This is relative to the 50+ water rack users. I'm asking for your involvement to assist me in making recommendations to council to provide new and improved storage facilities as soon as possible. Due to FOI issues, I'm precluded from contacting you directly without your approval to release information, which is why staff are contacting you on my behalf. Please respond to them as quickly as possible. With 50+ users, my intention is to establish a nimble 6 to 8 person study group and use everyone else to vet recommendations and provide additional thoughts and ideas. When you respond, would you please advise if you'd like to be considered for the study group? The study group should include a contractor, researcher, someone to assist in streamlining the billing qualification process, and someone with communication expertise. And that went out to staff yesterday or today, or whatever day, the weekend. And so I hope that we can move quickly, that the watercraft rack users will see it and bite quickly, and I will even start proceeding if we've got a partial number. And if they drift in, that's fine. We'll just add them into the pot. And that's my piece to report so far.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Any questions, comments? No? Councillor Broughton?
I'm just unclear what the timeline for this would be. I think there's a considerable amount of interest in having something in place on perhaps a temporary basis for the summer. And I don't think we're looking at construction so much as assembly of some kind of storage facility or facilities on first come, first served basis. I noticed that the CAO has sent us a memo sometime after 5 o'clock today, which I haven't had a chance to really take in any detail, but I think that what we really need to respond to a very reasonable need of our residents to provide some watercraft storage this summer. I don't think it needs to be particularly sophisticated at this point. I think there's lots of general ideas that could be addressed. And I just think it's something we need to move ahead with. I think this thing has been studied for 10 years and, you know, I'm just at a bit of a loss as to how a matter that I raised last summer is being dealt with now. I raised it last summer in July the 6th, I think, July the 4th, July the 18th, again in September and October, and had it removed from the agenda, and now we're dealing with it as a delayed item. So I think that there is a possibility to provide some storage for some individuals, and I think that we should address that issue. I think they can be, as I said, does not have to be construction, can be assembly. There are ideas of where it can be sitting on ground type of facilities that can then be replaced or reorganized or relocated after the summer. I think looking at the note that I saw just after 5 o'clock today, talking about Kelvin Grove and Brunswick, I think we really need to look at the cultural impact there and just a whole other set of circumstances. But I just think that there's some simple solutions that should be pursued.
Okay.
And I think it's being made incredibly complex.
Thank you for that. Mr. Blackwell, any comments? I know you sent out a memo.
No.
No? Okay, any other councillors? Councillor Abbott?
I think we all agreed we need to get this done fast. I think we have a plan. Councillor McLaughlin's getting something going. Let's all get behind him. Let's get this done and get it done fast. I don't need to say in 5 minutes saying that. So then we're all in agreement. Let's go.
Okay, Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. I know in council we're supposed to be collegial, but I find the comments by Councillor Broughton to be incredibly backhanded and, dare I say, gaslighting.
Okay, let's stick to the agenda, please.
The reality-
We don't need to be.
the reality, if-
Listen, just before we carry on, we don't need to have any mean-spirited comments by anyone at the table. The idea is that we're supposed to be working together on these things, so.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I guess my point here is that at the last council meeting, unless I misunderstood, council voted entirely in favor of me pursuing this path. And I'm getting alternate direction from one of my colleagues who's telling me to speed up and we need to do this, and this.
Okay, good. With that, I'll move on. Item 10.3.3, water quality at Lions Bay Beach. Councillor Broughton.
Thank you very much. I have a motion here. I'll read this in its entirety. It's not very long. During the summer of 2025, the Lions Bay Beach experienced Vancouver coastal health closures due to high coliform count test results. The grassed area of the park, the beach, and the tideline areas experienced high levels of Canada goose species, which residents undertook to address. There ended up being an organization of volunteers who went down and cleaned up. Council notes indicate a staff review of this matter would take place in late fall of 2025. I've repeatedly put this on the council agenda. I could give you the dates again, but I believe it at least 4 times, and it was removed from the agenda. This is not gaslighting, this is accurate information. Was removed from the agenda and was not discussed. The beach park has now been revitalized and regrassed. Residents anticipate safe and sanitary use of the facilities, the grassed area and the beachfront and the ocean access. My motion is that staff identify by the next meeting, June the 2nd, steps to be taken to ensure safe and sanitary access and use of the beach park facilities this summer. I have a sizable amount of research indicating the health hazards that are in place with an abundance of Canada geese in our beach park, and it's something that we need to address. I've repeatedly asked that it be addressed and considered, and have repeatedly had it removed from the agenda. A fact, which is a fact. So I'm making a motion that staff identify for the June 2nd meeting, steps to be taken to ensure safe and sanitary access and use of the beach park facilities this summer.
Okay, do we have a second for that? Okay, Councillor Cunliffe, seconded, discussion. Councillor Abbott?
Question for staff, do you need a motion here? Do we need something to give you some direction on this matter? I remember speaking at the time, that there were 9 beaches closed all at the same time. I don't know whether it's the geese or not that caused the coliform. I don't think anyone did. I'm absolutely not against people cleaning up geese, because I'm sure it's not pleasant sitting on the grass. Well, it's not pleasant for any of us sitting on the grass. I'm not against that. I'm concerned 2 things. One, should we be giving this direction? Are we getting out of our lane as a board? Firstly, and secondly, are we writing a motion that is creating an expectation that staff can do something that maybe they can't do anyway, maybe no one can do, maybe there isn't a solution. So that's my concern. And to staff, do you need this motion? What do you need? What do you have in place?
Okay, Mr. Blackwell?
Thank you. So staff routinely on a weekly basis test the water. This week it's been the first week. They've tested the water, and they do so on a weekly basis until I think it's the end of September. With regard to the question of the source to Councillor Abbott's comments of high coliform counts, we're not marine biologists, nor are we biologists. No idea where the source is. We can all speculate. Speculating is free, but it doesn't mean that we are any closer to the truth. We are not in a position to come up with ideas to if it is geese, how to deal with it. We're not biologists. If council is so minded to figure out what the accurately what the source is, you need to hire the appropriate professional. If you want somebody to manage the wildlife, it's not public works. It's not the office staff. You need to hire some professional biologist that knows how to deal with this issue. But asking staff to report on this is like, when you ask us to, I don't know, report on, surgery. We're no better able to report on surgery than we are on wildlife matters that none of us are trained in. So,
Do you have any suggestions on what staff or how staff could reach out and get some help to find some answers on this?
well, if council is so minded, but they say there are professionals. First of all, with regard to beach closures because of high coliform counts, if I would not want to put a wager on finding the source on, as Councilor Evans said, there was 7 or 9.
It was 9.
Nine beaches have closed. I don't think they ever found the source. Lots of speculation around what various people thought the source was. But with all of that expertise brought to bear on that issue, because 9 beach closure is a big deal. Nobody could pinpoint it. So who would you hire to come up with a more concrete answer than who was working on it before? Again, with regard to wildlife management, well, there are sort of few options available, but we're not getting forward. of doing that, so you have to hire an RP bio who has a specialty in, if it's geese management. And that's gonna, you have to set aside some budget to do that. If you want us to sit down there with paintball guns, which we won't do, but as a tongue-in-cheek example, well, that would also be a council resolution, but.
Well, that would be illegal, actually.
Right, we're not gonna do that, but, we really don't have the tools or expertise to sort of solve these wildlife issues. So you have to hire the appropriate specialist, technical specialist to advise council on what your options were, even if you have options. It may be that there are none.
In parallel to the geese, how are you resolving them eating the grass, which is under growth right now? Is there anything you're doing there that could be leveraged to minimize the geese poop on the beach?
Well, that's a good question. So I have two responses. So our wildlife management technique was to turn on the sprinklers with greater frequency. It turns out the geese are smarter than we thought, and it turns out they're not as afraid of water as we had hoped. So whatever disincentive it started with, it ended quite quickly. So that was our only tool. So at this point, I don't know what we're gonna do with managing the goose eating our lovely grass issue. The second, sorry, what was the second one?
I think it was about the grass, the
Yeah.
geese right now, as I understand it, they're eating this
Yeah,
freshly
eating the grass.
planted grass. Have you thought about
Inhibiting
putting turf
grass
down
growth.
instead of grass, seed?
We
And,
certainly could put turf down, but turf is considerably more money. We had both priced out because turf would be great, we'd be instant and, within a few weeks we're good to go. But the cost was a very significant disincentive. We were hoping we could get it in early enough and it would situate itself, I can't think of the word, well enough in advance, but it's not, it's perfect goose length, it would seem. It's there, having a field day, pardon the pun, with the grass, so I don't know, how we would stop that. I think there's gonna be an ongoing, oh, I know what the other issues. The other scenario could be, you could seek to establish a volunteer poop gathering team in the community. And that's assuming this coliform comes from that. Could it be that any of the boats that are passing by or using the marina are emptying the head just outside the area before they come in? I don't know.
Could it be
Don't know.
septic systems? Could it be,
Yeah, who knows?
Okay, Councilor McLaughlin?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marbury. So your answer, CAO, is that no matter how many times we ask this question, and you've answered it previously, you're not going to do a report for us.
Well, I don't know what I can.
And that you have not told us already. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I would call a motion.
Councilor Broughton? Any further discussion?
I
Or
think,
we
yeah,
call the question?
we have discussed this at some length previously, and I stand with the motion that I've made. I'm asking whether if
Can you
they
read the
can
motion again?
identify steps to be taken to ensure safe and sanitary access and use of the beach park facilities. And I've heard a whole series of suggestions that staff identify for the June 2nd meeting, steps to be taken to ensure safe and sanitary access and use of the beach park facilities this summer. So safe would mean ideally low coliform count, and sanitary, not sitting in it on the banks. Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Or walking
All
through
right.
it to get into the water.
I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Okay.
Okay.
Please note,
Thank
completed.
you.
Okay, next item is 10.3.4, security municipal public spaces, and Councilor Broughton.
Okay, as we have moved towards opening the beach park, one of the considerations one of the concerns that we had on the beach park committee was the ensuring that basically homelessness can be a serious problem. How can we secure the park if the park is going to be more attractive? So when we did the tour of the park, I wasn't clear and the director of operations was not clear exactly what the operational protocols were going to be for the park. And so I'm just asking that we review those in terms of whether or not the washrooms are open or closed, what time they're open or closed, whether we're going to be attracting campers. Once you have someone there, once you have a homeless person there, you basically own them. You need to find somewhere else for them to be if you're going to move them along. So I'm just asking that staff review overall security at the beach park and report back to council.
Is
I was
motion?
unclear as to what was going on in terms of
Is
whether
that
they're.
put forward as a motion?
I'm putting that forward as a motion, that
Okay.
staff
Do we have a-
review overall security and at the beach park and report back to council.
Okay, do we have a second? Councillor Conlon? Okay. Comments? Councillor
Yeah,
Conlon?
it's my understanding that the beach parks have posted hours. So, leave this with staff, but I was under the assumption that the washrooms got locked every evening. It actually surprises me to find out that the Kelvin Grove washroom have been open year round, because that has not been the case previously. I've been here for 15 years going there, and those washrooms were not open in the winter. If there's a bylaw officer to go and lock the washrooms at 10, or do we look into a remote locking system? I know that those exist. But a final walkthrough at 10 PM, anybody that's there is pointed out the beach is now closed, you need to leave. Then we shouldn't have an issue with people camping, and then I guess you phone the RCMP because now they're trespassing. So.
Okay. Any other comments? Councillor Bowden?
Just clarification, I'm asking for, you're saying, my understanding is, I would like to know what it is.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell?
So I can tell you that there are electronic locks on the bathroom. So the standard open and closed hours in that park will remain as they always have been. There's no information to suggest that needs to be changed. With regard, however, to the question of homelessness, I prefer not to have that conversation now, but the bottom line is there's no security that can stop that. If that's what happens, that's what happens. There's a sort of citing all the case law. This has been an issue prosecuted in many local government jurisdictions. And the courts have been very clear with regard to what tools are available. And Lions Bay doesn't have any tools available, which means that, I don't want to say anymore, but I would leave that one as quiet as you possibly can.
Good. Councillor Bowden, you put the motion.
Made a
forward.
motion, yeah.
You want to read that again to us?
That staff review overall security at the beach park and report back to council.
Okay.
I'm
moved by
basically
Councillor
asking
Bowden,
for an update.
seconded by Councillor Conlon. I'll call a question. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, unanimous, all in favor. Okay, next item is the pedestrian safety at the Lions Bay Beach Park entrance, and Councillor Bowden.
Okay. I just, based on the piece that I've written here, it identifies, concern around the possibility of a vehicle maybe coming over the railroad tracks and not being restrained from entering the park. I think it's the key issue that I have here. I've given a whole bunch of background and so on, but basically, when I went down to review today, and since I first identified this concern a number of weeks ago, the rocks have been moved around. The size of the rock seems to be significant and so on. There is one highway divider which which I have a photo of here actually, which is actually behind the telephone poles at this point in time. And I think simply moving that over into a flat area that exists there may just up the amount of security of a vehicle actually entering the park. I think, hope it never happens, but you know, I identified a couple of things that we didn't expect to happen. You know, police chase down Lions Bay Avenue with a truck being chased by a police car, ending up hitting a neighbor's home, et cetera. The things that you don't anticipate. If there's any way that you can provide some additional safety, then we need to look at those offshoots.
Okay.
So at this point, when I look today, they've done an outstanding job of securing the bank and securing that whole area. I was very, very impressed. And also they've created a walkway to isolate people from walking on the road, giving them a safe place to walk. So there's been some outstanding work done, and I just really want to acknowledge that. At the same but if it's possible for the highway divider, which is already there, could be moved from behind the telephone poles to about 6 feet or over, I think there would be increased security there.
Okay.
So that's what I'm asking.
Mr. Blackwell, any motion necessary for this or?
Well, what I would
What
tell
can
you
you
is, you've had a series of professionals look at this, including a professional engineer. Where everybody's satisfied, there's no risk here, that Jersey barrier is intended to go in front of the power pole, the wooden power pole, to stop that from being damaged. But we've evaluated it from an engineering perspective, and we are satisfied that based on the various aspects of the road geometry, the size of the rocks, etc., it's all being carefully considered, and we feel that the risk is as low as you can make it practically. Jersey barriers of that size will provide no further protection. If a truck, a heavily laden truck, is barreling down, first of all, it wouldn't be able to make that corner, but let's just say it did magically. It took off, which is what it would do. Over the railway tracks, it would become take off in the air. There would be no way that a small Jersey barrier like that would have any effect at all. So, you know, we can armor it up to the nines, if that's the design of council, but what I would suggest is that you have at least on staff, a professional engineer and others who have reviewed it, as I've said, and are satisfied that it represents a reasonable degree of safety.
Okay, Councillor Broughton, then we'll go to Councillor Abbott.
Okay, I really appreciate that it's been reviewed. The Jersey barrier is actually not in front of the telephone pole, it's actually behind the telephone pole.
Right now, is it?
Oh,
Okay, Councillor Abbott.
I'm making it just to stop this conversation. I don't think you should be doing this. We keep getting told to stay in a lane. You obviously have a concern, you've raised it with staff. Professional engineers have looked at it. You're not happy with the outcome. Bringing out something onto the table that has, you know, inflammatory statements like no one expected a bus to kill a child in Horseshoe Bay. It's not helpful and it shouldn't be happening here. I think just let's move on. This shouldn't even be on the agenda, in my opinion. Staff have dealt with it. It's dealt with.
Okay, any other comments? Oh, okay, it's been highlighted and
Thank you very much.
staff will look after it. So,
Calling the motion, Mayor Grant.
pardon,
You're calling the motion. He insisted on the,
there was no motion.
there's no motion, okay?
no,
No, did you have a motion?
Staff is.
no, I'm reading what it, I'm reading what was written.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think it's been brought up, I would encourage staff to look at it, and I would encourage the engineer as well, because, expect the unexpected. Yeah, because, it is, it's an opening there right to the park, so, okay. we'll move down to 11.1, and that was Charity Stellmacher and her partner Matt, and Councilor McLaughlin, you brought that forward. I think that.
Thank you very much. Just as a quick refresher, got a chance to look at the email over the weekend, if you did, and on the table now. Just to go through it again, the motion is that council approve blocking off 12 parking spots at the KG parking lot on the afternoon of June the 7th, and that staff work with the bride to fulfill her request, which is to provide temporary parking for the guests to her wedding. I'll put
Okay,
that
do we
forward.
have a second? Councilor Conlon seconded, discussion, all in favor?
Sorry,
Opposed?
Chris, no, sorry, I'm hanging for discussion.
Okay, Councilor Abbott, then we'll call the question.
Okay, we've had several of these requests before. I think we need to have established some sort of policy on how this is dealt with. I'm not opposed to this case, given that it's a volunteer, works in a fire department. I'm approving this, but I think we need to have some sort of policy. Previously, they paid a fee, they paid the cost of the day's parking, whatever. I'm not asking this volunteer pay, I'm not suggesting that. But I'm saying going forward, we need some sort of policy, some sort of guideline, who is exempt, whether they're volunteers, are residents different to outsiders. We need, and it's probably not the most urgent one you need, but we can deal with these on a case by case basis.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell, and then we'll call the question.
I think that's a great idea. What would be helpful is to get this registered as an action item by resolution. Get that as council resolution.
Put it at the bottom of the list, please. Don't go do it in front of anything else.
Okay, call the question, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Okay. And
Could we
the
put
item
resolution-
11.
Could we put a resolution to have this topic put on the action item list?
Okay.
Let's do a resolution. And then that says that staff be directed to
To look at
develop a
it.
policy that does.
Okay.
That deals with event
Resident.
parking in our public parking spaces and differentiates between residents, volunteers, and outsiders.
Non-residents.
And non-residents.
Not outside.
Thank you for that. And it is not a priority to go
Okay,
ahead.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Through Mayor Berry, might I suggest rather than on the action list, which we don't want to see it every second week, it goes on to the strategic plan as number 18 or whatever it is.
Yeah, just need a resolution.
All right, do we have a
We
mover?
resolved
Councilor
it.
Abbott, move that. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Councilor Bowden, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, 11.2, Citizen of the Year.
Thank you very much, Mayor Berry, and this is just, a week's notice was given for the final submissions for, potential candidates to receive the award. I think that with a long weekend tucked in between, it's a little short. I thought June the 2nd, which is a Wednesday, which gives another weekend and 2 days. It's as generous as we can be, because on the 3rd, the agenda is assembled, the 4th it goes to us, so there is no more time on that. So I think this is the best we can do in the situation. I put that forward.
Also,
Okay, seconded by Councilor Cunliffe. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Okay, correspondence. Councilor Cunliffe.
So we have, looks like the Grand Fondo would like an endorsement from council for this year's event, as we have done in the past. I'm not sure how that looked, so if we are in agreement, we can ask staff to put forward our endorsements. Do we need a resolution for that? No.
Okay.
Resolve that staff respond in favor of this year's RBC Grant Fondo, and please provide council supporting documentation to the effect.
Okay, do we have a second? Councilor Broughton, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Okay.
And we have, we received correspondence back from the community of Tumbler Ridge showing their appreciation for our support. Something about PST. I don't think that we need any response. And then the bulk of the resident correspondence was in regards to the traffic demand management plan that was brought to last council, of which has been addressed. And one more discussion on the watercraft storage. I can say that we take this as received. Is there anybody else who would like to comment?
Councillor Abbott?
The one on the parking. Yes, there was lots of correspondence. Some were sent directly to me and some were sent to council, like 50-50, I can't remember. If council is good with it, I would like to make a short one sentence, one paragraph reply to them, saying that how we dealt with it and reply to all if council's good with that with the same response. I'll do to the ones that were sent to me and the ones that were sent to council in general.
I would be in favor of that, if everybody else.
How do we normally handle the correspondence? We have a councillor each quarter?
It's a rotation deal.
Yeah.
They do the response.
Okay. And you would like to respond directly?
Just because I'm named in more than half of them. Somebody
Yeah, I
else sent
think
to-
that's good, your name, yeah.
I'm happy to have you if you're responding to one. Yes, motion to allow Councillor Abbott to respond to.
It's an unofficial correspondence thing.
Second,
I'll second it. No.
all in favor?
Yeah.
There you go.
Opposed, motion carried.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
anything else, councillor Conlon?
I had one more. So the last item on correspondence was about the garbage at Tunnel Bluffs. I know we've discussed this a lot. Probably isn't an easy solution. I'll be honest, I haven't actually been up there for a little while. When I do go out in the fast, I go, wait, don't go for Tunnel Bluffs because the traffic's too busy, but, I know we have signage at the trailhead. And I guess jurisdictionally, we can put signage further up. That's the problem,
Crown land?
Crown land. I mean,
There's a couple of things.
is there anything we can do? Oh,
Mr. Blackwell?
Thank you. Through you to Councillor Abbott, you bet your bang on the jurisdictional applications require, well, there's two parts of it. One is if you look at government jurisdiction, then the other is the jurisdiction of the Crown land, so it's a double whammy. It doesn't mean nothing can't be done, it just means there needs to be some outreach and advocacy. So council decided to do something like appoint a member of council to reach out to, say, the MLA to sort of work with the province on the Crown land issue. How could we joint venture with regard to management of this? If you pay us some money, we'll hire a seasonal person to go and take care of X, Y, Z sort of idea. The other, and I don't know how much of it is in the electoral area or not. But that's another conversation that could have with the electoral area department, county's electoral area director, to talk about how much of the jurisdiction has been worked collaboratively.
but the council will do what you're suggesting. I'm happy to be the one to lobby our MLA. The lobby is the correct term.
Is that Roger?
Sure, I'll put that forward.
Okay, second, councillor Conlon, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Okay, any other items, councillor Conlon?
No,
No.
thank you.
Okay, we'll move to item 14.1, Mr. Blackwell.
That is here really for your information, as you know. Every year, there's the opportunity to request meetings with various entities and agencies and ministers and including the premier at the UBCM. Now's the time to start thinking about that and making a list, checking it twice, and then we put in the requests to see what's done. Now, that also, by the way, includes groups like BC Assessment, it includes BC Hydro, so these crown corporations will be there as well.
Ask you for suggestions now.
Not yet, no, but turn your mind to it pretty quickly,
I'm there.
so we can, so maybe the committee, of the whole, council can bang out some names and I can get going with this.
Right, put it on the next agenda, yeah.
That's the only reason it's on there. FYI.
Okay, any other items? Public questions in gallery? No? Anyone online?
No.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Councilor Broughton, second by Councilor Abbott, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried.
We had nothing on my agenda.